Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
Sarah stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, adjusting the tie on her silk robe for the third time. The house was quiet except for the distant hum of the dishwasher downstairs. Ethan was already asleep in the guest room. He'd insisted on the old tradition of not seeing the bride before the wedding, even though they'd been living together for 4 years. Tomorrow was the day. The venue was booked, the caterer confirmed, the flowers delivered. Everything was perfect. She smiled at the thought, then slipped into bed alone, the sheets cool against her skin. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Lila. "Can't wait to see you walk down that aisle tomorrow. Babe, you deserve this happiness." Sarah typed back a quick heart emoji and turned off the light. 3 weeks earlier, Sarah had flown to Nashville with 5 of her closest friends for her bachelorette weekend. Lila had planned everything. A rented loft downtown, rooftop bars, live music on Broadway, a private boat cruise on the Cumberland River. Sarah had been excited but a little nervous. Ethan stayed home in Chicago, trusting her completely. They'd been together since grad school, 8 years of steady, comfortable love. He'd never been the jealous type. The first night was exactly what she expected. Cocktails, dancing, laughing until her sides hurt. The second night started the same way. They ended up at a rooftop lounge with a view of the neon lights. That's when she saw him. Drew. He was leaning against the bar in a dark button-down, laughing with a small group. She hadn't seen him in almost 9 years, not since they broke up senior year of college. He looked older, sharper, more confident. Their eyes met across the room. He smiled, that same crooked smile that used to make her stomach flip. She turned away quickly, but not before he noticed. An hour later, he approached their table. "Sarah Bennett?" His voice carried over the music. "I thought that was you." She stood, hugging him awkwardly while her friends watched with raised eyebrows. They talked for a few minutes, safe topics, jobs, mutual friends. He was in town for a conference. He bought a round for the table. Her friends loved him immediately. When the bar closed, he asked if she wanted to grab a late bite at a diner nearby, just to catch up. She hesitated, then said yes. They sat in a booth until nearly 3 in the morning, talking like no time had passed. He asked about Ethan. She told him they were getting married. He congratulated her genuinely, but there was something in his eyes. When he walked her back to the loft, he hugged her goodnight. She felt the warmth of his hand on her back a little longer than necessary. The next day, she didn't mention it to anyone. Saturday night was the big one, the boat cruise. The group was buzzing, dressed up, taking photos. Drew texted her mid-afternoon. "Heard you're doing the river cruise tonight. My conference buddies bailed. Mind if I tag along? I know the captain." She should have said no. Instead, she told Lila there was room for one more. Drew boarded with a bottle of champagne and easy charm. He fit right in, telling stories, dancing with everyone. As the boat drifted under the city lights, he pulled her aside near the railing. "You look incredible," he said quietly. She laughed it off, but her pulse was racing. They talked about old times, about roads not taken. When the boat docked, the group wanted to keep going, one last bar. Drew said he knew a quieter spot, a speakeasy with live jazz. Half the group went home. The other half followed him. By midnight, it was just the two of them at a small table in the back. He reached across and brushed a strand of hair from her face. She didn't stop him. They left together. His hotel was only a few blocks away. She told herself she'd just walk him back. Then she told herself she'd only go up for one more drink. Then she stopped making excuses. She woke up the next morning in his bed, sunlight streaming through the curtains. Panic hit immediately. He was still asleep. She dressed quietly, called a car, and was back at the loft before anyone woke up. She showered twice, deleted the ride history, and smiled through brunch like nothing had happened. On the flight home Sunday night, She stared out the window the entire time. Ethan picked her up at the airport, hugging her tightly. "Missed you," he murmured into her hair. "Missed you more," she said, and meant it. The next few days were normal on the surface. Work, dinner, wedding planning. But every time her phone buzzed, her heart jumped. Drew had texted Monday morning. "Last night was amazing. No pressure, just wanted you to know I don't regret it." She didn't reply. Tuesday, Ethan was unusually quiet at dinner. She asked if everything was okay. He smiled and said work stress, nothing major. Wednesday, he suggested they finalize the seating chart together. When she opened the guest list on her laptop, she noticed Drew's name had been added to table 9. "I invited him," Ethan said casually. "Ran into his name on an old mutual friend's post. Figured since he's in Chicago sometimes for work, why not? You two were close once." Her stomach dropped. "You invited Drew?" "Yeah. He RSVP'd yes yesterday. Said he'd love to come celebrate with us." She forced a smile. "That's nice of him." Inside, she was spiraling. Ethan watched her carefully. "You okay with that? I can uninvite him if it's weird." "No," she said quickly. "It's fine. Ancient history." That night, she lay awake listening to Ethan breathe steadily beside her. Guilt gnawed at her, but so did something else. Relief that it was over, that she could move on and marry the man she truly loved. She had no idea Ethan already knew it started with a message from his college roommate Alex, who lived in Nashville now and worked event security. Alex had been working the river cruise that Saturday night. He recognized Sarah immediately. Ethan had shown him photos over the years. He saw her leave with some guy after the boat docked. Curious, he asked around. Learned the guy was staying at the Thompson Hotel. Security footage showed them entering the elevator together at 12:47 a.m. No sign of her leaving until morning. Alex didn't want to get involved, but loyalty won. He called Ethan Sunday night after Sarah was already home. Ethan listened without interrupting. When Alex finished, he thanked him calmly and asked for a favor. Could Alex get a copy of the reservation under the guy's name? Drew Harrington, room 1512, checked in Thursday, checked out Monday. Ethan sat in his office until dawn, piecing it together. The limited social media posts from the weekend, the way Sarah had been extra affectionate since she returned. The sudden addition of Drew to the guest list. She must have mentioned the weekend to him, and Drew reached out. He didn't confront her. Instead, he decided to wait, to watch, to let everything proceed exactly as planned. The weeks that followed were a strange performance. Sarah threw herself into wedding details, tasting menus, choosing linens, finalizing the band playlist. Her parents arrived from Florida 10 days before the wedding, staying at a nearby hotel but coming over daily. Her mom kept tearing up over centerpieces. Her dad kept slapping Ethan on the back, calling him son, and talking about how proud he was. Ethan smiled through all of it. He nodded when Sarah gushed about the honeymoon in Greece. He helped carry boxes of favors. He told her parents how lucky he was. Inside, he was ice. Drew called once, 2 days before the wedding. "Hey man, excited for Saturday. Sarah looks happy every time I talk to her." Ethan kept his voice even. "She is happy. We both are. Greece, huh? She always wanted to go there. Glad she's finally getting the trip." Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. "Yeah, with the right person this time." A brief pause on the other end. "See you Saturday." The rehearsal dinner was held at a lakeside restaurant. Sarah wore a pale blue dress that made her eyes stand out. Drew arrived late, shaking hands, charming everyone. Sarah introduced him as an old friend from college. Ethan watched them across the patio, Drew's hand lingering on her lower back as he leaned in to say something, her laugh bright and quick. Later, when the toasts began, Sarah's father spoke about trust and building a life together. Ethan raised his glass with everyone else. The morning of the wedding dawned clear and warm. Ethan dressed at his brother's house with the groomsmen. Sarah texted him a photo of her coffee mug with the words "Future Mrs. Brooks" on it. He replied with a heart.at. The venue, a garden estate just outside the city. Guests began arriving. White chairs in neat rows, floral arches, string quartet playing softly. Sarah's parents greeted people at the entrance, beaming. Ethan stood near the front, shaking hands, accepting congratulations. Drew showed up 20 minutes before the ceremony, clapping Ethan on the shoulder. "Big moment, man. She's glowing. You saw her already?" "She texted me directions to parking. Always so thoughtful." Ethan nodded. "That's Sarah." The processional began. The bridesmaids walked down the petal-strewn aisle. Then Sarah appeared on her father's arm. The dress was everything she dreamed. Simple, elegant, flowing. Her veil caught the breeze. She smiled up at Ethan with pure joy that he smiled back. Her father placed her hand in his. "Take good care of her," he whispered. "I intend to," Ethan replied. The officiant began. Words about love, partnership, commitment. Sarah's hands were warm in his. She squeezed gently during the part about cherishing one another. Then the moment came. "Ethan, do you take Sarah to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, from this day forward, in joy and in sorrow, in plenty and in want, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, for as long as you both shall live?" The garden was silent except for birdsong. Ethan looked at Sarah. Her eyes were bright, expectant. He looked past her to the guests, to her parents in the front row, to Drew, 3 rows back. Leaning forward slightly, he looked back at her. "I do not." A collective inhale rippled through the crowd. Sarah's smile froze. "What?" The officiant cleared his throat. "I'm sorry. I do not." Ethan repeated clearly. Sarah's bouquet trembled in her hands. "Ethan, this isn't funny. I'm not joking." He turned slightly toward the guests. 3 weeks ago, during her bachelorette weekend in Nashville, Sarah spent the night with Drew Harrington, the man sitting in row 3, wearing the navy suit. Gasps spread like wildfire. Phones came out. Sarah's mother made a strangled sound. Sarah's face drained of color. "Ethan, please." "You left the river cruise with him, went to his hotel, stayed until morning, then came home and pretended nothing happened." Her father stood slowly. "Sarah, is this true?" She was crying now. "Dad, it was one night. It didn't mean anything. I love Ethan." Drew shifted uncomfortably as heads turned toward him. Ethan continued calmly. "You told your friends it was a mistake, that I'd never find out. You even helped make sure he was invited today." Sarah reached for his arm. "We can fix this. Please, not here." "Here is exactly where it belongs," Ethan said. "In front of everyone who came to witness our commitment. Everyone who believed in us." Her mother was openly sobbing. Her father looked devastated. Security began moving down the aisle, unsure whose side to take. Ethan stepped back, releasing her hands. "The reception's paid for. Enjoy the dinner." He walked down the aisle alone, past stunned faces, past Drew who wouldn't meet his eyes, past Sarah's father who looked like he'd aged 10 years. His brother caught up to him in the parking lot. "Vegas. Already booked the flight," Ethan said. "Honeymoon suites non-refundable." 2 days later, he sat by the pool at the Bellagio, drink in hand, watching the fountains. His phone had been blowing up. Texts from Sarah ranging from apologies to anger to bargaining. Calls from her parents. A long voicemail from her father saying he was heartbroken, that he'd had no idea, that the money didn't matter. Drew had apparently left town immediately after security escorted him out. The wedding party had apparently gone ahead with dinner. Sarah's father insisted people shouldn't go hungry. By all accounts, it was the most awkward reception in history. Ethan didn't gloat. He didn't post anything online. He simply turned his phone off and ordered another drink. Sarah had wanted one last taste of the past before stepping into the future. She got it. And in the end, the future arrived without her. He raised his glass to the dancing water and the bright desert sky. Sometimes the clearest revenge is simply the truth, delivered at the precise moment it hurts the most. And sometimes freedom tastes better than any planned life ever could.